All right, thanks, guys. Coming off another pretty good day on Friday, we got 3 wins on our Patreon picks. We also went 14, 11, and 1 in our Major League Baseball leans right here on YouTube. So let's go ahead and see if we can do a little bit better and improve and get the job done here today. We're going to go ahead and start off with, who do we have here? Rangers taking on the Twins, 2:10 Eastern first pitch in Minnesota. The Twins are minus 155, totals at 10. We saw a 10-cent fade of the Twins and movement downward on the total. Minnesota open 165 down to minus 155. Total open 10.5 down to 10 flat. 55% of the consensus is leaning toward the Twins, 52% shaded toward the over. Right now the Rangers are plus 125. The Rangers are plus 145 on the money line. The Twins plus $1.10 on the run line. We have Jesse Chavez for the Rangers, Mike Pineda for the Twins. Pineda's 5-4 with a 1.19 whip. Minnesota is 55-32 overall on the year. That's going to put them at 23 games over 500. They're also very good at home, 27-14 at home this year. They rank second in scoring on average per game, and they are first in the AL Central. They're 6.5 games ahead of Cleveland. Now, Texas on the other side is third in the AL West. They're 8 games behind first place. They also rank dead last in striking out on average per game. They've won just 18 out of 42 games when traveling this year. They're also just 12-24 as the official road underdog. Now, total-wise, Texas is 32-25 to the under, taking on teams allowing more than 4.2 runs per contest. Give me the Twins minus 155 and the under 10 runs in that game. Before we go ahead and move on, just want to take a quick timeout and welcome you to the show. Got some lines and personal leans out for Saturday's Major League Baseball action. But before we go ahead and get into some more of that, just want to quickly remind you to check me out on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage, where once again yesterday we picked up 3 solid wins, 3 solid money-making wins on that website. Link for that site is in the description section below. We do daily plays and picks on that site. And we have plenty of different tiers and packages, and they're all very, very affordable. They actually begin at just $1.99, not a day, but per month. So once again, check me out at patreon.com/BrockPage. Link is in the description section below. All right, let's go ahead and dive into our next game. Orioles, Blue Jays, 307 Toronto. The Blue Jays are minus 145, totals 11. We saw a nickel fade of Toronto and movement upward on the total. The Jays open $1.50 down to minus 145. Total open 10.5 up to 11 flat. 51% are leaning Baltimore, 56% shaded toward the over. Right now the Orioles are plus 125 on the money line. Toronto plus $1.05 on the run line. We have Andrew Cashner for Baltimore, Clayton Richard for Toronto. Richard's just 1-4 with a 6.51 ERA and a 1.63 whip. Meanwhile, Cashner on the other side, 8-3 record, 1.25 whip. Toronto ranks second to last in Major League Baseball in hits on average per game. They also rank dead last in walks allowed. They're just 33-56 overall for the year, which puts them at 23 games under 500. They've also won just 17 out of 46 games on their home field. Now, on the other side, Baltimore's actually on a little 2-game winning streak, 2-0 in their last couple of games. They're also 10-6 when Andrew Cashner makes the start. Now, total-wise, Baltimore's 4-3 to the under, taking on Toronto this year. Give me the Orioles plus 1.5 and the under 11 runs in that game. Next matchup, Royals, Nationals, 405 Washington. The Nats are minus 380, totals at 9. We did see a 30-cent move toward the Nationals and movement upward on the total. Washington open 350 up to minus 380. Total open 8.5 up to 9 flat. 70% are leaning Washington, 67% shaded toward the over. Right now the Royals are plus 340 on the money line. Washington minus $1.70 on the run line. We have Glenn Sparkman for the Royals, Max Scherzer for the Nationals. Scherzer is 8-5 with a 2.43 ERA and a 1.00 whip. Scherzer also has 170 strikeouts thus far on the season. We're not even at the All-Star break. Now, Glenn Sparkman on the other side for the Royals, just 2-4 on the year, 5.09 ERA and a 1.39 whip. Kansas City is just 30-59 overall for the year, which puts them 29 games under 500. They've also won just 14 out of 30. I'm sorry, they also won 14 out of 45 games when traveling. Not going to really break this one down all that much further. Give me Washington -1.5 and the under 9 runs in that game. And it's that time of the show. We're going to take a quick coffee break. Brought to you by Fireball and Cafe Bustelon. Actually, those companies have nothing to do with sponsoring this channel. This is free promotion. Anyway, all right. We also have a Fossil watch and a ring from, where did we get this ring? K Jewelers. They suck. Don't ever go to them. They're terrible. They totally ruined our wedding and our rings. But anyway, K Jewelers, go to hell. All right, next game is Brewers taking on the Pirates, 4:05 Pittsburgh. The Brewers are -110, totals at 10 flat. We did see a 5-cent move toward Milwaukee in the early wagering. We also saw a little bit of movement downward on the total. This one pretty much opened as a coin flip. Milwaukee was $1.05 up to -110. Total opened 10.5 down to 10 flat. 61% are leaning Pittsburgh, and at the moment we have Adrian Hauser for the Brewers, Trevor Williams for the Pirates. Williams comes into this game with a 4.54 ERA and a 1.26 WHIP. Meanwhile, on the other side, Hauser comes into this game with a 3.26 ERA. Now, Pittsburgh is 3 games under 500 right now. They're 42-45 overall on the year. They're also just winners in just 20 out of 41 games at PNC Park. They rank 27th in runs allowed at home on average per game. They're also 28th in walks allowed at home as well. Now, the Brewers are on the other side. They're 8-1 in their last 9, taking on Pittsburgh. If you're into historical trends, they're also 4-3 in their last 7 ball games at any location. Milwaukee's 7th in striking batters out on average per game. They're also 4th in offensive walks when traveling. When it comes to the total, Pittsburgh is 79% to the over at home when the line was 9 or higher. So with all that said and done, I'm going to lean toward the road slight favorite in this one. Give me Milwaukee -110 and the over 10 runs in that game. All right, next matchup. Cleveland taking on the Reds, 4:10 Eastern first pitch in Cincinnati. The Indians are -120, totals at 9. We did see a nickel fade of the Indians and movement downward on the total. Cleveland opened $1.25 down to -120. Total open 9.5 down to 9 flat. 56% are leaning Cleveland, 67% shaded toward the over. Right now the Reds are +110 on the money line. Cleveland +125 laying the 1.5. We have Shane Bieber for the Indians, Anthony DeSclafani for the Reds. DeSclafani comes into this game with a 4.35 ERA and a 1.34 WHIP. Bieber on the other side, 7-3 record, 3.54 ERA and a 1.04 WHIP. He also has 133 strikeouts thus far on the year. And like I said, we're not even at the All-Star break, so pretty good stats there. Now, Cincinnati.
Love you.
You had now?
Yeah.
All right, love you. That's what happens. You get married, and now she's getting her nails done every Saturday. You know, it is what it is. Just living the good life. Tell you. Brock Page, ultimate sucker. All right, love you. See you in a little bit. We're going to a picnic later, barbecue, right? Yeah, very nice. So once again, Shane Bieber, 133 strikeouts. We're not even at the halfway point yet. Cincinnati, they're dead last in the NL Central. They're 3 games under 500. They also rank 25th in scoring, 27th in hits. The Indians, on the other side, are 5th in runs allowed on the road. They're 8th in striking batters out on the road as well. When it comes to the total, Cleveland is 14-3 to the under when Bieber throws out the first pitch. Meanwhile, Cincy on the other side, 11-4 to the under following a day off. So with all that said and done, I'm going to lean Indians -120 and the under 9 runs in that game. Next matchup, Red Sox, Tigers, 4:10 Detroit. No line currently posted for this game. We do have some probables, though. We have Rick Porcello for the Red Sox, Jordan Zimmerman for the Tigers. Zimmerman's been terrible this year. 0-5 with a 5.36 ERA and a 1.39 WHIP. Detroit is 4th in the AL Central. 28-55 overall for the year. That puts them at 27 games under 500. They're also 25 games back in the division. They rank dead last in scoring in Major League Baseball. They've also won just 12 out of 42 games at home. Give me Boston -1.5, getting the job done for some run line cash. All right, next game, Miami Marlins taking on the Braves. 410 Atlanta. The Braves are the $2 favorite. Totals at 9. We did see a whole bunch of movement in this ball game in the early wagering. We saw a 25-cent move toward Atlanta. We also saw movement downward on the total. Atlanta opened 175 up to -200. Total open at 10 all the way down to 9 flat. 73% are leaning toward the Braves, 55% shaded toward the under. Right now, Miami's +170 on the money line, Atlanta -110 on the run line. We have Caleb Smith for the Marlins, Max Fried for the Braves. Fried's 9-3 with 90 strikeouts in just 93 2/3 innings pitched. Now, Caleb Smith on the other side comes into this game with a 3-4 record. Atlanta's first in the NL East. They're 6.5 games ahead of Philadelphia. They're 53-36 on the year, which is almost 20 games over 500. It is 17 games over 500 to be exact. They're also 27-18 at home, and they rank second in home scoring. Now, the Marlins on the other side, not so fortunate. They're 22 games under 500, just 32-54 overall for the year. They've also won just 17 out of 42 games away from home. They rank dead last in Major League Baseball in road scoring. Now, total-wise, Miami 69% to the under on the road when the line was 9 or higher. Give me Atlanta -1.5 in the under. 9 runs in that game. All right, next matchup. Yankees, Rays, 410, Tampa Bay. The Rays are -130, totals 8.5. Bunch of movement in this one. We saw a 20-cent fade of Tampa Bay and movement downward on the total. The Rays open $1.50 all the way down to -130. Total open 9, down to 8.5. 52% are leaning Yankees, 74% shaded toward the over. Right now, the Yankees are +120 on the money line. Tampa Bay +$1.45 on the run line. We have CC Sabathia for the Yankees, Snell for the Rays. Snell comes into this game with a 5-7 record, 4.87 ERA, and a 1.28 WHIP. Meanwhile, Sabathia on the other side, 5-4 on the year, 66 strikeouts in just 69 innings pitched. The Yankees are first in scoring, first in walks on the road, first in the AL East. They're 57-29 on the year, which puts them at 28 games over 500, and they are 8.5 games ahead of Tampa Bay in that AL East. Now, the Rays on the other side are second to last in Major League Baseball in striking out at home. They've also lost their last 3 straight, and they're just 2-9 taking on the Yankees this year. Just absolutely terrible against the Yankees. Now, total-wise, Tampa Bay 7-4 to the over, taking on the Yankees. Meanwhile, New York is 76% to the over on the road. So with all that said and done, I'm going to lean Yankees +1.5 in the over, 8.5 in that game. Next matchup, Cubs, White Sox, 7:15 guaranteed rate field. The Cubs are -120, totals at 9.5. We did see a good old-fashioned flip of the lines in this one. And as a matter of fact, it was a 30-cent move toward the Cubs. They opened +110, now -120. Total open at 9, up to 9.5. 57% are leaning White Sox, 59% shaded toward the over. Right now, the White Sox are +110 on the money line. Chicago +$1.35 on the run line. We have Big John Lester for the Cubs, Lucas Giolito for the White Sox. Giolito is having one hell of a year for Chicago White Sox. He is 11-2 on the year with a 2.72 ERA and a 1.02 WHIP. He's also amassed 115 strikeouts thus far in the season. Meanwhile, on the other side, Big John Lester, he's coming into this game with a 1.31 WHIP. Now, the White Sox are 24-19 at home at Guaranteed Rate Field. They are third in the AL Central. They're also 7th in home hits and 11-6 following a day off. Now, the Cubbies on the other side are winning just 48% of their games, taking on teams between 460 and 540. They've also won just 17 out of 43 games on the road. They rank 26th in runs allowed on the road. They're also second to last in walks in that same category. Now, total-wise, the Cubbies are 12-4 to the over when Lester makes the start. They're also 63% to the over on the road when the line was 9 or higher. The White Sox on their side of things, 20-9 to the over at home when the line was 9 or higher themselves. Give me the White Sox plus 1.5 and the over 9.5 in that game. Next matchup. Phillies, Mets, 7:15, Flushing, Queens. The Mets are minus 140, totals at 9. We saw a nickel fade of the Mets and movement upward on the total. New York opened $1.45 down to minus 140, total open 8.5 up to 9 flat. 52% are leaning Mets, 51% shaded toward the over. Right now the Phils are plus 130 on the money line, and the Mets plus $1.45 on the run line. We have Jake Arrieta for the Phils, Noah Syndergaard for the Mets. Syndergaard comes into this game with a 4.56 ERA and a 1.24 WHIP. Meanwhile, for the Phillies, Arrieta is 8-6 on the year. The Phils are also 10-7 when Arrieta throws out the first pitch. Philadelphia is 6-4 in their last 10 ball games. They rank 7th in walks on average per game. They're also 6-0 in their last 6 taking on the Mets this year. Meanwhile, the Mets on the other side, losers in 9 out of their last 11. They're just 2-5 in their last 7 at home. They are 4th in the NL East. 10 games under 500, just 39-49 on the year, and they are 13.5 games behind Atlanta in the division. Total-wise, New York is 12-4 to the over when Syndergaard starts. Philadelphia 7-4 to the over, taking on the Mets this year. Give me the Fightin' Phils plus 1.5 and the over 9 runs in that game. Next match.